Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Interviews. We're back with more of The Leftovers Season 1. We're at the penultimate episode of Season 1. We're almost done with this season. This is Episode 9. It is called The Garveys at Their Best. So full spoilers if you have not seen this episode. This was an episode that a lot of people were waiting for because everybody wanted to see what things were like before the departure. And as expected, it doesn't disappoint. And as expected, things weren't as happy and wonderful as everybody liked to think. There were some exceptions. You know, Jill seemed to be a pretty happy kid. But of course, all these things were, but even, Nora's life, who, had her whole family taken from her. It's devastating. But we see how people, are, before this. Like, things weren't always 100% smiles and cries. It was life. We like to, remember all the good stuff. And, well, we wish we remembered all the good stuff. That's the thing. It seems like we always remember the bad stuff more. It's crazy. So the episode starts with Kevin going for a morning jog, and right off the bat, the thing I was thinking about was, man, I really wish I could get into some sort of my mental state to be able to jog and keep myself from having a gut. The discipline it would take. That's what I was thinking about. But for Kevin, the jog is really so that he can get far enough away from his house so he can have a cigarette. I'm sure he wants to stay fit. That's the excuse he uses. He stays fit. But then you go ahead and you smoke. And like any good addict, whether it's cigarettes or booze or, crack, the regiment, the secrecy that goes along with that, the hiding of it, like the hand sanitizer that he keeps in the car, the Listerine that he keeps in the car, all these things that you do to hide something that you shouldn't have to hide. If you want to smoke, smoke. But we have these, and I don't mean it makes it okay to just be a full-blown alcoholic or something, you know what I mean, or a drug addict. But it's easy to see that he's not living the life he wants. If you want to smoke, go ahead and smoke. You just have to deal with the repercussions of that reality, like who you're going to upset. But he's so repressed about it. He's towing the line. He's being who everybody thinks he should be. And so, we get to see his house. Lori was a successful psychiatrist, however you want to put it. Everybody gets, different labels. Anyway, so she's bringing home the bacon. They have a nice home. But I love that, there's the crack in the foundation. And if there's any complaint that I have about this episode, it is kind of heavy-handed with the metaphors for things in this episode. Everything's perfect. It's beautiful, perfect house, and then there's this crack right up the wall behind the painting. And they don't bring it up. He just looks at it, and he kind of is he's a little unsure. There's all these uncertainties that everybody starts feeling in this episode of their lives and their place in their lives and what they're supposed to be doing and everything. So, it's just the first big thing. And you see that, right away, things just aren't quite right. If you're hiding cigarettes from these people, what else are you hiding? And then seeing a happy Jill, they really they didn't have to do too much to make Margaret Foley look young, but she really, by her performance, she seems younger. It's a little weird because when you think of her now, she's so much more mature-ish, or was forced to become more mature before her time. When you see her before all this, and how just a sweet, kind of kid she was, innocent, and then everything happens and she just loses all of that. And I'm not going to say she was mature. because she's acting, these days she's being very immature, making very dangerous choices. We see Nora's happy family. At first, like you see everything that she has. And then you see that Lori has a secret pregnancy that we didn't know about. And that the phone call leads you to believe that I couldn't tell for a while whether this was a call about, getting prenatal care or getting a late, kind of a late in the game abortion. And by late, I mean like this sucker has a heartbeat, you know what I mean? Sucker. We also find out that Patty Levins was one of Lori's patients, and it's like, of course she was. This is how they knew each other. And let's just talk about that scene, because Patty feels like the end of the world is coming, and you could be like, oh, she was right, but really, Patty has a lot of larger issues at hand. This is a pattern for her. She has said things like this before. She's coming out of a very abusive relationship, so she's got issues with, justified issues with a man that was in her life. But Patty is one of those people. Man, how do you talk about this without like triggering people? It's what you have to think about these days, right? Got to think about everybody's feelings, which I try to do, but sometimes it's reasonable. She's had some serious damage done to her that makes it, you can see where her belief system would come after the departure. Because when what happens, because she's like, oh yeah, no, I know that, I say these things all the time, but, the world's going to end and nothing's going to stop that. And telling Lori that you know it too and you feel something's wrong too. Projecting her own stuff at it. Because everybody has problems, okay? You could look at it and go, oh, she was premonitioning it. But no, she's not. She's just being a person. Lori has her own secrets, so it's easy to just say to someone, you'd feel it too. And since they don't have Lori answer back, it makes Patty seem more like prophetic. When really, after what happens, in Patty's mind, it justifies what she does next. When really it's just a coincidence. Okay, she's not some conduit to some this big event that was about to happen. She's just had a lot of really bad things happen to her, and she feels dread all the time. So when she happens to, it's like the broken clock is right once every week or whatever that phrase is. Patty's one time she's right justifies everything that she does after this. We don't see her again for the rest of the episode. I'm kind of glad we don't. Because even though I love her performance, she's one of the most frustrating characters in all of television. For me, anyway. We kind of get teased throughout this episode of when is the departure going to happen. The first time that we think maybe something happened is Kevin smoking outside. All these kids come charging out, and, they have Kevin run up to the school as if everybody's disappeared, that kind of thing. You're expecting that. But you find out that it's a deer. Now, it could be the deer that Kevin sees at the beginning of the episode. I mean, that's where they're leading us to believe that it is. And that maybe like how some, like when earthquakes are coming, that kind of thing, that maybe the deer are going crazy. That they don't know what to do, and they're just running into places. And so the deer is like crashed through this elementary school. There's blood, there's glass, there's just stuff everywhere. And that's another kind of metaphor of like the deer being trapped inside of something that it shouldn't be in. So that becomes part of the subplot, where the cops want to just kill it, and Kevin doesn't know why we have to kill it. Why can't we just trank it? And his dad's like, well, you can get there before everybody else. Nora, like her job thing that she was trying to be, this really it could have been anything. But they made it the connection to the current mayor that Nora was going to be her campaign manager. She was going to, she was interviewing for that job Kevin's dad is there. We see that he was fine before this happened, but was he? We don't really get too much. I feel like if somebody's mentally ill, that there would be signs before this. So I don't know if they're trying to say that because of this happening that Kevin's dad went nuts. Because honestly, and I was going to save this for later, but I mean, after what happened, I guess it kind of makes sense that some people would just lose it. And we'll get back to more of that in a little bit. Tommy, I haven't been even been able to talk about Tommy. I forgot his name because it's been a while since I reviewed an episode with him in it. And like I said, this is pretty much Tommy's last, really only meaningful part in the series. So we see him. He got drunk and went to his real dad's house to confront him about what he did to him and his mom. Apparently that must have been an abusive relationship too, and they came to Kevin, and Kevin became the hero and became Tommy's real father figure, that kind of thing. Kevin threatening to kill the guy in front of his other kid, it's all just a mess. And Kevin was supposed to go to the dog breeders with Lori, kind of showing and I guess it's maybe supposed to represent Kevin's kind of convenient absenteeism at times of being a part of the marriage. He's great with the kids, but he's not so great with the marriage thing, it seems. So he's, she's about to have a kid that he doesn't know about, and they're about to bring a dog into the house that he doesn't really want. So the correlation of, should I even have a kid if he doesn't want this dog either? You know what I mean? And so he doesn't go, and we find out that the dog breeder was Gladys. All these little connections. Even when Kevin goes to the house where the next deer comes in, those people were people that were interviewed by Nora, I think in episode 1 or 2, who had the child with Down syndrome. It crashed through their house. Again, you could kind of say that's prophetic, that the deer chose that house, maybe. I don't know. But we get to the birthday. And, again, Kevin's dad's fine. Matt's wife was fine. She was not, catatonic at this point. So we can't say that, I guess that's their way of saying that this all happened at the departure. So how much of it was, just mental breaks or just happenstance? Do people actually dance at, birthday parties and stuff like that? And I don't mean, everything you see is people just dancing around at parties, and I don't know, I guess I've just never been to a lot of parties, but it just seems awkward, people just dancing. I get weddings. Because it's this big, epic celebration, but I don't know. Just watching people dance, all together, is just strange to me. I think it's because I just didn't have much of a social life when I was, ever. But I do like what Kevin says to his dad about a thing that he said, that a lot of people think that the universe owes them something. And a lot of people do. A lot of people have that, kind of, when they're, that frustration, there's an attitude of, why not me? When is it my time? How come not me? Why am I not the next Kim Kardashian? Why am I not, whatever? People always wanting, feeling like they just are owed. I'm alive, why can't I have this? And it's because, what he says, you build something yourself. Whether it's, you become president of the United States, or you write a book, or you make a YouTube channel. You do it yourself, and then you hope, that there are people that you maybe can help you along the way. Again, like this. I'm succeeding right now because, or I feel like more of a success right now because of all of you. Without you guys, why would I keep doing this? I feel like I started this for myself, and I still do this for myself. But having other people around you, helps you build that universe, helps you along the way. So you still have, but you still have to do it yourself. You still have to put in the work. You can't just wait and hope for things to happen and hope for that the universe just says, hey, it's time to focus on this guy right here or this girl or whatever. You make your own luck. You make your own universe. And waiting for somebody to do it for you, it's just not going to happen. It may happen to like 1 in a billion people. You know what I mean? Like some people that just, with every luck, there's always usually a sad story. Like I know people that got rich, you know, but why did they get rich? Because somebody left them money because they died. You know, tragedy, triumph through tragedy kind of thing, accidental wealth, that kind of thing. All I'm trying to say in the end is you got to do it yourself. Don't expect anybody to do it for you. But if people do find you and help you along the way, then you know you become part of something bigger, and you have a responsibility. I think at that point to, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think there's a way to. Somebody smarter than me would say it better, but you have to try it and do it yourself. But there's also this point in this part of the story where it's like, when is it enough? Like Kevin's like feeling like, why don't I feel complete? I have all this stuff, this family, that everything should be perfect, and we're always searching for that greater purpose. You know, and his dad's like, you don't understand. Like it's normal, but you have it. You have what you need. We just can't. We just, for some reason, some of us just can't stop. It's like people that retire that, you know, they still feel like they have to keep going to keep living. You know, that if they stop, they'll die. Always searching for that greater purpose. You know, if you're not moving forward, then you're dying or whatever. Or we always need the next thing to save or the next thing to work on to be more. Instead of sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying the fruits of your labors. I think it's just part of being human. The next day, though, the strange people in the car, where they stop, Kevin's at the side of the road, and they're like, hey man, are you ready? And he's like, what? And I don't know who those people were supposed to be, and I don't know if we ever get a call back on that. Because they're not like the guilty remnant, but it sounds pretty shady, whatever they were doing. Because when they say, oh, you must be somebody else, like they were shocked. Like they were getting ready to do something. I don't know what that was. Then the manhole covers explode, which was, again, why? It was crazy, but like, I don't know. It's not like the gas lines would explode because people were about to disappear. And then, you know, he has the big fight with Lori. Where he's like, she's like, what is your place? What are you? You know, like, is it here? Because you seem to be at anywhere but here. Your mind, anyway. And you're not where you're supposed to be when you say you're going to be there. You're doing other things. You're all trying to save everybody else. Kind of reminds me of, like, Jack from Lost. Who, if he's not out trying to save somebody else, you know, always having to be the guy, but he's not ever there for the people that need him, really. I mean, he was there for his, you know, for Tommy. Like I said, he's great with the kids, but he's just not been there for Lori. And with the whole thing with the kid again, it's pretty, then he's like, you don't want me to be honest? And she's like, yeah, I do. Like, what has she done to make? Does he feel like because she's the big breadwinner that maybe he feels inadequate, and that's why he tries so hard at everything else, and he feels like he has to be perfect because maybe he feels because of that being, you know, her being the big breadwinner, that he feels less than, and so he's just trying to put on airs at like how he's supposed to behave to keep all of this going. But we get the deer in the house, and it crashes through everything, and it gets hit by a car when it runs back out, and he meets the lady that hits the deer, and he takes her back to a hotel, and you know he's cheating on Lori. Well, she's at the doctor checking the heartbeat out of her unborn kid. Now, like I said, I don't know if this is supposed. She's at the doctor, so I guess this is for prenatal care and not an abortion, because that's an abortion clinic. She was there, like, next to Matt's wife, who was getting checked out because of he got sick when he was a kid, and could it be returning? And so, like, how before the accident she was fine, but Matt was the sickly one, kind of. Like, he was the one that had survived I think it was cancer, like, at a young age. And then, when the girl asks Kevin if he's a good guy, and he's like, no. And so everything goes down badly. Kevin's cheating on Lori, literally having sex with this girl. I brought this up in the last review, I think. And then Lori's at the doctor, looking at the heartbeat of her kid. Jill and Tommy are at the science fair, connecting to other people, which is pretty fitting. Literally hand in hand. And then you got Nora with her family, who you can tell from the night before her husband was up to something. And when he doesn't even ask her about her interview, and when she brings it up, instead of being like if somebody that I loved had that news, that would be the first thing I'd say to him. Instead, he just goes to see the kids, and when she says it, he pauses, that wrong kind of pause that you don't want to have in a relationship where it was not there. And instead of, like, just going, oh, right, and coming up to her and hugging her or something, some sort of, like, acknowledgement, he's like, oh, cool beans. And then the next morning with the kids, like, having a particularly ordinary morning and knocking over the juice onto her phone when she's about to get the job, and everything is going really for her, like, in that moment, just chaos. The kids banging on the table, her husband, she has to know something's kind of funny there, and just poof, everybody's gone. And Kevin, the woman died while Kevin was inside her. Comparatively, the baby that was inside Lori, poof. Again, pretty heavy-handed stuff. One man inside a woman, a baby inside the woman he's married to, both disappear. And then Nora's whole family disappears, the juice still falling off. And how do you not completely lose it? The dogs went crazy, the deer were going crazy, Kevin's dad went crazy, Patty was already crazy in a way. So how did the normal people not just completely snap? I don't know what I would do if I was just at the place I work at and just everybody disappeared. Like, how does the mind not just take a freaking long walk up a short pier? So that was the Garveys at their best. It's incredible. And like I said, some people might call this show like misery porn. Kind of like The Handmaid's Tale is, like, non-stop misery, or like how The Man in the High Castle is nothing but misery. We sure do love our misery shows, but when they're done well, when the acting is well, and while I admit this episode has some pretty heavy-handed metaphors, I'm fascinated by it because it's about being human and not flinching from that. The ugliness that is life sometimes. It's not all fun and games, and it holds that mirror up to us, that kind of thing that we don't like to look at. Maybe that's one of the reasons why shows like this don't succeed anywhere but critically, really, or with people like people that are like me, or the ones that enjoy watching this show or these reviews. Is you have to be able to get past that, and I don't think a lot of people can. This is why movies like the Transformers and other shit make so much money, because people your average person just wants to watch stuff to forget about their problems. They don't want to be reminded of their humanity. I used to be like that. but now I don't want. I'm too busy looking at the whole thing. Sometimes I want mindless entertainment, but that's for when I finish everything else. And even then, I tried to watch something mindless the other day, and I was like, oh man, I just can't. So anyway, well, I'll be back Tuesday. So what happened was The Mandalorian was going to be on Tuesdays, but that was just for the launch day. Mandalorian is going to be on Fridays. So we're going to be switching The Mandalorian on Fridays instead of The Leftovers, and The Leftovers is going to be on Tuesday. So we're going to be back Tuesday with the season finale of The Leftovers, and The Mandalorian episode 2 will be on Fridays. Crisscross. So be ready for that change. I did not expect to do that, but that means we're still keeping on a schedule. And so, again, fantastic episode, so well acted. It's, oof. You know, you kind of need a shower after you're done watching one of these shows, but in a good way, I guess. So anyway, if you happen to like this review, please hit that like button. As of right now, we're at 985 subscribers. We're only 15 away from 1,000. It's amazing. It's not really registered that we're this close all of a sudden. So if you are enjoying the content, if you're new to the channel, please become a subscriber. It'd be awesome. I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, share this with people that do like the show so we can keep spreading the word about this show. I don't want this to be one of those shows that just gets forgotten over time. Hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying we'll be back with Doctor Who. We've got comic reviews coming, and then Watchmen, and the whole thing begins again. Plus game walkthroughs. We just put Death Stranding's couple of walkthroughs on that. So have a great day, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.